Hi everyone, this is my presentation for Simple Encryption and Decryption program. My name is Atishapaji from the Melbourne Institute of Technology, completing my MNet in 2020. So starting off, we will import the Tkinter library. Tkinter allows us to create GUIs in Python. We will then import its tkinter.messagebox method. We will also import the string library, which allows us to provide all available strings to a program so that we do not have to type them. We also import the time module to allow us to test how long the encryption and decryption process take. We will then send all printable characters to the list called all characters. We will remove the last 6 characters from that list and send it to a new list called alphabet. We remove these characters because they are difficult to reproduce from the keyboard. We will also create another list called valid key from the range 1 to 94. Python will start counting from 0, so this list Python will count it as 0 to 93. We have then defined the validity error function, which displays an error message if a type mismatch or user input is out of range will be displayed. The error message will be displayed through the tkinter.messagebox.showInfo method, which is a built-in method of Tkinter. Next, we have the date error function. This error function will be displayed when the user enters wrong dates. This is displayed through the tkinter.messagebox.showInfo method. Next, we have the validate function. The validate function takes 6 parameters as input. We will use this function to validate all the user data entry. So it starts while true. The while loop will be used to test all user input. While true, the program will try to test if the user input is within printable, or if the displacement key is not within the valid key range, or the day is not in the list range 1 to 32, or the month is not in the 1 to 12 range, or if the year is not in the range 1910 to 1920. If this is the case, it will display in the validity error function. It will also test if the month is April, June, September, and November, and the day is greater than 30, it will display the date error message. If the month is February and the year is a leap year, and the day is greater than 29, it will display the date error function. If the month is February for a non-leap year and the day is greater than 28, it will display the date error function. If all the user input have successfully passed the test, all the user inputs will be converted so that the text to change will be put in the text variable. The displacement key will be converted to an integer and sent to the key variable. The day will be converted to integer and sent to the day variable. The month will be converted to an integer and sent to the month variable. The year will be converted to an integer and sent to the year variable. We also created 3 other variables called someday, some month, and some year. These will be used to calculate the sum of all the digits forming the date of birth. So we will iterate over each of these values. For example, for every integer in the string of day, we will calculate its sum. For every integer in month, we will calculate its sum. For every integer in year, we will calculate its sum. And we will end up with the sum of date of birth integers by adding some day, some month, and some year. Now, if n, which is one of the parameter passed to the validate function, is equal to 1, we will send it to the encrypt function with the parameters text, key, and the sum of date of birth. Else, we will send it to the decrypt function with the parameters text, key, and the sum of date of birth. And we will break from this loop, from the while loop. In case we have a value error, we will display the validity error function. And we will quit the loop. Next, we have the result function, which takes 4 inputs. The result underscore win equals to top level is just the Tkinter method to create a new window to display results. We are using the .geometry to change the size of the window, and the .title method to display the title of the new window. The frame method is used to add a frame to hold all other widgets inside the new window. Pack_propagate is a function that tells the frame not to let its children control its size. And here we have the pack is the geometry manager that places all widgets within the window. So we have several frames within this top level window to hold all the data. We have the text box here that will display the different values we want it to, and another text box as well. So the result function will be just a function used to display a window to show the result of the calculations. Next, we have the encrypt function. The encrypt function takes 3 parameters. This is the function that performs the encryption process. We will start a timer by using the time.perf_counter method. This value will be passed to the start variable. We create an empty list called cipher. The cipher list will be used to hold all the encrypted text. We then create a plain text list called plain text, which hold all the values from the plain text which has been passed from the validate function. We'll then iterate over each item in the plain text list. We will find the index of that character and send it to the variable called a. We'll then calculate I by adding the value of a to the displacement key and to the sum of the date of birth. We then have a while loop to check for values that are greater than 93. 93 is the limit that we have set for our program to calculate the displacement key. So while I is greater than 93, we will subtract 94 from it. We subtract 94 from it so that it returns back to the range of values we want it to be. We will then append that. We will then look for that value in the alphabet list through alphabet square brackets I and append that value to the cipher list. Once the for loop has finished its iteration, we will end the timer by typing the command type.perf_counter. We will send this to the end variable. The time taken can be calculated by doing end minus start variables, and we send these values to the result function, plaintext, cipher, time taken, and also the string encryption. We send the string encryption so that the result function knows which process has been run. Next, we have the decrypt function. The decrypt function accepts three parameters, which are cipher, displacement key, and the sum of date of birth. The decrypt function performs the decryption process. So to begin, we will start the time.birth counter timer and send it to the start variable. We create an empty list called plaintext. This will hold the decrypted text. All the data within the cipher variable are converted into a list and served to the cipher list. We then iterate over the cipher list. So for each character in the cipher list, we'll look for its index in the alphabet list and send it to the variable A. We then have a new variable called I, which takes the value of A minus the sum of displacement key and sum of date of birth. We then have a while loop to test for values of I that are outside of our range. So if that value is less than -93, we will add 94 to it to get it back to within range. We will then look for that value, the new value of the character lying at the position I in the alphabet through the command alphabet square bracket I, and append that value to the plaintext list. Once the for loop has finished, we will end the timer and send it to the end variable, calculate the time taken by doing end minus start, and send everything to the result function. So the result function will accept the cipher list, the plaintext time taken, and decryption string. The decryption string is sent so that the result function knows which operation has run. Next, we have the info function. This function is used to display information about the program. We have a list called text that holds all the information we want to be displayed within this information box. And we use the tkinter.messagebox.showInfo method to display this message. Because we have sent all our data to a list called text, we can use the .join method to display everything. Next, we have the clear function. The clear function is used to clear all the entry boxes. Clicking on the clear button will activate the clear function, and using the entrybox.set method, we can send empty strings to all the entry boxes within the program. Next, we have the main function. The main function runs the whole program. So we have used several Tkinter methods to create the new window, which is window equals to tk. We have used the .geometry method to set the window size in pixels, and we have used the .title method to assign a title to the window. The frame method is used to create a frame within the window. The .propagate is used to tell the frame not to let its children control its size. The .pack is the geometry manager, where we have set the frame properties. Fill tells the widget to fill any extra space allocated to it by the packer's space. Side tells the packer where to place the widget, and expand will tell the widget to use all the space unused by its parent. So as you can see, you have created several frames, several text boxes, and several entry boxes to display data and to get user input. Within the main function, we also have the encrypt button, which is here, the decrypt button, the info button, and the clear button. The encrypt button uses the button function within Tkinter. As can be seen, it has to be within a frame, it can display text, and it can send a command when clicked upon it. So at the moment, the command we have assigned to the encrypt button is to run the validate function. Whenever we click on the encrypt button, it will run the validate function with the text to change key, day, month, year, and the integer 1 as variables, or rather as arguments. This is similar for the decrypt button, where we have it within a frame, displays the text, and runs the validate command with the text to change, key, day, month, year, arguments, which are all variables, and the integer 2 as an additional argument. The info button will run the info function, and the clear button will run the clear function. And lastly, we have the if name equals to main. This assignment allows the current program to be imported as a module to other program. This assignment calls the main function, thus running the whole program. So I will now do run module to display a few examples of how this program operates. So I can input my date of birth, 18/04/1988, and the text hello, and the displacement key. Click on encrypt, and it encrypts message and shows the time taken for the module to run. I can copy this message by doing Ctrl C, closing it, putting back in the program, doing Ctrl V, clicking on decrypt, and it is decrypted back to hello, and the time taken has also been displayed. If I click on clear, it clears all the entry boxes, and if I click on info, it displays information about the program. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you for watching.